Hey everybody, welcome back to On the Road to Dr. Effin. I'm Javeda Bay, soon to be Dr. Effin, and this is my web series where I take you along on my journey of being a Black woman in academia, pursuing 2 PhDs, because why the heck not? And if you're new here, you got some watching to do. Because if you're like, girl, I need the whole thing, watch all the episodes. Because since we're like in the end of summertime, I really want to provide some like contextual information for folks around like PhD programs because I'm learning that people don't know too much about them. So that's what I'm gonna do. And today I really want to talk about what the difference is between like being a PhD student versus a PhD candidate. So like coursework versus candidacy. So let's get into it. Jave, I don't know what any of those words you just said are. It's totally fair, totally fine. So a PhD student is essentially a student in a doctoral program. And that means that they are someone that is still in the coursework phase of their PhD. So obviously, every PhD program is going to be very different. But for most PhD programs, you have at least a year or two of coursework, meaning you are actually taking classes. And for most programs, a lot of the classes are really going to be focused on like developing your research skills and like potentially and not potentially usually also like the like super theoretical like grounding of your discipline, and then depending on your program, like the way it's set up at the University of Oregon, I also am taking electives in other departments because it's an interdisciplinary program. And it's like that's a part of the coursework of you taking classes in other departments to like broaden your expertise in a way, I guess. But so that's you being an actual student. You're taking classes, you have assignments due, you're doing readings, you're writing papers, you're meeting and like being in class sessions and all that jazz. That's what coursework is and what being a PhD student entails, actually being in school. And then candidacy happens after like the weird middle part of like comprehensive exams, which if you have not watched the videos on my 2 separate times of doing comps, please do, because like you get some real good insight. But essentially, comprehensive exams are what you do once you complete coursework to show that you have mastered like the information that you were supposed to master. So you understand the foundational theoretical work of your discipline. You have figured out your work as a researcher and like understand research methods to be able to design your own research project, and things of that nature. Comps look different across programs. I have some friends whose comps are set up where it's like you're writing papers, but the papers are actually like research studies that you've done that then turn into journal articles. Like it's like very meticulous steps, but it all like ends in the same result. The way mine was set up at the University of Oregon was like 4 separate written exams on 4 different like topic areas. The way they're done at for my human sexuality program is that I had 10 separate like essay questions that I had to answer with short answer essays of max 500 words. And then I also had to write my lit review for my dissertation as well. All of that was a part of the comps. So it looks very different. But comps is like the big test you take. And once you pass that test, then you move on to, well, actually, once you pass that test, then you have to do your dissertation proposal. And so that is you really like planning out how you are going to do your dissertation from the actual data collection. Granted, this is like for social sciences. I don't know how it is in other disciplines, but like for social sciences, you are creating a dissertation proposal of like what it is that you're trying to research. Depending on like the methods you're going to use, like you might have a hypothesis, but generally it's designed where you're mainly just focused on like your research questions. You're developing those. You're talking about the methods you're going to use, the population demographics for the people you're going to study if you're using human people for your research, and then like how you plan on analyzing the data and things of that nature. So you create that whole document and then you present that to your committee, and then they say yes or no. Generally, if they say no, they're like, go back, change a few things. I didn't get my proposal no'd, but that's because I gave it to my committee like multiple times, like look over, and so they told me the changes that they wanted to see ahead of time, which for me, the changes were bring it down. break it down. I was really ambitious. So that was like the big thing. But once you pass your dissertation proposal, then you move into candidacy. So for both the comps and the dissertation proposal, you are still technically a PhD student. It is not until you actually pass that you become an actual PhD candidate. And candidacy also is known as like ABD. So it stands for all but dissertation. So candidacy is literally like you did all that pre-work that you needed to do. Now the only thing that you're focused on is working on your dissertation. And so that again looks different for a lot of different programs. Depending on your discipline, what you're studying, that can be a very quick and easy thing. I know some folks that literally finish their dissertation in like a year or less. And depending on how your program's designed, it could be like very quick if the way that like your coursework and your comps were designed to be parts of your dissertation, if that makes sense. But candidacy is truly like the solo aspect of a PhD program. You're not in classes with other people. It's truly like self-guided work of you getting your dissertation done. So the biggest differences in terms of like what it means to be in a PhD program is that when you're a PhD student, there's still so much more structure like there traditionally is in like a higher education setting of college or university. Once you get to PhD candidacy, structure, everything goes out the window. You now have to take that role on your own. So in the sense of like me and my dissertations, like being in candidacy now for my communication and media studies PhD means that like my attention is on my dissertation. And I'm in the stage now of like about to start data collection in the coming months. And so I now have to build routine to actually move through the different parts of my dissertation without having classes to hold me accountable. And honestly, committees are typically very hands off. Like I have like communicated with my committee and I'm like, they saw my timeline and like how I was wanting to like get feedback and stuff like that. But unless you have a more hands-on advisor and committee, like no one's knocking on your door being like, hey, where's your stuff at? Like the expectation is that you are following through on the tasks that you need to, and you're communicating with your committee to get feedback when you need it and to like show them drafts as you're writing them. And depending on the structure of your dissertation, that could be multiple different chapters. That could be you doing it in like, here's the first half, here's the second half. Could go a lot of different ways. For me, the way I am doing it is like by chapter. So my dissertation will have 5 total chapters. And with me having moved my data collection timeline back a little bit, I'm focusing on 2 chapters before the end of this year being completed. So that is going to be my introduction chapter and my lit review chapter. That's what I'm working on. It's going to happen. Like those 2 will be done by the end of the year because I truly do want to take as much time as I can to analyze my data and write those last 3 chapters. But it's going to look a little different for everybody. But essentially, PhD student, structured student at a more academically rigorous level. PhD candidacy, you become a researcher. You on your own, figure it out, get it done, or else you ain't graduating. That is the short end of that. Like that's the quickest way to explain them. But yeah, so I'm currently like still in both. Like for my human sexuality program, I'm still technically a PhD student because I have not done my dissertation proposal yet. But I am a PhD candidate in my communication and media studies program because I did my dissertation proposal. It was approved, and now I'm actually actively working on that. So yeah, that's a little rundown on the difference between a PhD student and a PhD candidate. If you start seeing people that are like their social media profiles say like PhD candidate, they are in dissertation phase. Like they're working on their thing. Okay. So be nice to us. Okay. It's not easy. It's not easy at all, especially because life still goes on. So you have the structure of like real adulthood, and then you have to build in the structure of like being still like an academic. Woo, it's a time. But yeah, if you would like to support me at all in my journey on this PhD process, one, subscribing to this YouTube channel really helps because I'm trying to monetize it, because the quicker I monetize my YouTube channel, the quicker I'm bringing in money that can cover the cost of my dissertation research, because doing research ain't free if you did not know. So obviously subscribing to this YouTube channel always helps. Also, if you feel so generous and inclined, I do have a book list of books that I am trying to purchase, like hard copy purchase, because one, your girl got bad eyesight. I can't stare at screens long. I read physical media. Also, I'm a diehard about my physical media. I love physical media. So like if you wanted to order any books for my dissertation, because I can't highlight in library books and also have to give them back. So like it would be really helpful, and you can help me out by visiting this link to purchase any of the books on my dissertation book wish list. Also, my Venmo, my Cash App's always open if you just want to send me money to do my research. That helps. Or spot a girl for a coffee, because am I highly caffeinated? Absolutely. But yeah, if you're wanting to support me, also if you happen to be a Black woman in the DMV area, you could be a part of my research, and that would be super helpful. And you can complete this my eligibility survey at this URL. But yeah, please, 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 I am always so grateful for any support that I get in this process, because it's not easy. I absolutely know that. And I wouldn't be able to do it without people supporting me and being in my corner and rooting for me and backing me up when I need it. So thank you. And definitely make sure that you are following me on all the social media platforms, because that also helps. It may not seem like it at face value, but I promise you it really, really does. It really, really does. And also, like, you can sign up for my email newsletter. You can sign up for my sex ed one, but I also started an email newsletter, aka a blog, for my PhD journey. It is on Substack. It's completely free. No paywall, no gatekeeping here. I'm just like talking about all the things. Like it's gonna be a mod podge of a lot of stuff. But if you would like to stay more up on top of that, that's a great way to do it. Also, I like wanted to turn to a blog because I need to be more consistent in writing. And it's a lot easier to write blogs than it is to write academic papers. So that's why I did it. But you can subscribe to that. And you can just go to this website to subscribe to it. But yeah, please, please, please subscribe everywhere, follow everywhere. But thank you so much for supporting me on this journey and just being interested in it. But yeah, that's that. Until next time, I'm gonna see you later. Deuces.